When most people hear the word fat, they instantly think of something harmful, something that clogs arteries, contributes to weight gain, or accelerates aging. But what if I told you that not all fats are created equal, and in fact, some fats are so medicinal that they could literally extend your life? Olive oil, particularly extra virgin olive oil, is one of the most misunderstood foods in the modern diet. It's often labeled simply as healthy fat, but that simple label doesn't even come close to describing what olive oil really does inside your body. Imagine something you keep in your kitchen cabinet, something so accessible actually acting like a natural pharmacy, silently protecting you from the very processes that drive disease and aging. That's what olive oil truly represents. The real power of olive oil doesn't just come from its monounsaturated fat profile, though that certainly plays a role. It comes from something far more fascinating, its polyphenols. These are natural compounds found in plants, and in olive oil they're present in remarkably high amounts when the oil is of good quality. Polyphenols act like little soldiers in your body, fighting against oxidative stress, which is essentially the slow burning of your tissues from free radical damage. If you've ever cut open an apple and seen it turn brown within minutes, you've seen oxidative stress in action. Now imagine that same process happening in your arteries, your brain, and your muscles every single day. That's what aging really is, oxidative damage accumulating over time. Olive oil steps in like a shield, slowing down this process by neutralizing those free radicals before they can do harm. What's fascinating is that modern science is still playing catch up to what ancient cultures have known for thousands of years. The Greeks called olive oil liquid gold, not just because of its taste, but because of its remarkable healing properties. In fact, entire civilizations built their diets around this one food. And what do we see today? People in the Mediterranean region who consume olive oil daily consistently live longer, healthier lives with dramatically lower rates of heart disease and chronic illness. That's not a coincidence. It's a direct result of these powerful compounds working on a cellular level. The question is, why don't we hear more about this in mainstream health advice? Why do we reduce olive oil to nothing more than a heart-healthy fat when in reality it's an anti-aging elixir hiding in plain sight? Let me give you an image to lock this in. Think about your arteries as delicate pipes that transport life, giving blood to every cell in your body. Over time, those pipes are exposed to stress, toxins, sugar spikes, and inflammation. Tiny cracks start to form, and cholesterol rushes in to patch up the damage. This is how plaque builds and how cardiovascular disease begins. Now, picture olive oil as a protective coating inside those pipes, reducing inflammation, calming irritation, and strengthening the lining of the arteries. That lining is called the endothelium, and when it's healthy, your risk for heart problems drops dramatically. Polyphenols in olive oil nourish and protect the endothelium, making your arteries more flexible and resilient. This isn't just theory. Study after study shows improved endothelial function in people who consume olive oil daily. So when we say olive oil is medicine, it's not an exaggeration. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Olive oil doesn't just act on your arteries. It works at the cellular level inside your mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses that generate energy. Every single cell in your body depends on mitochondria, and when they are damaged by oxidative stress, your energy crashes, your metabolism slows, and aging speeds up. The antioxidants in olive oil protect mitochondria, allowing them to keep producing clean, efficient energy. This is why people often report feeling more energetic, more mentally clear, and less fatigued when they make olive oil a daily habit. Imagine waking up with sharper focus, more stamina, and fewer afternoon crashes, all from a simple tablespoon of oil. That's not hype, that's biology. And it doesn't stop there. Inflammation is at the root of nearly every chronic disease we fear: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis, even obesity. Olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal, which actually mimics the effects of ibuprofen. It's a natural anti-inflammatory that doesn't just dull symptoms, but addresses the deeper problem of inflammation itself. Think about that for a second. You could be eating something that reduces inflammation in your body as effectively as a drug, but without the side effects. If there was a pharmaceutical pill that could do all of this, it would be worth billions of dollars. But you don't need a prescription, you just need the right olive oil. Now, here's a question to really think about. If olive oil is this powerful, why aren't more doctors prescribing it, or at least emphasizing it in their dietary recommendations? The answer lies in the fact that much of modern nutrition advice focuses on calories, macronutrients, and surface-level observations. But olive oil operates on a much deeper level. It interacts with your genes, your cells, your immune system, and even your brain chemistry. This isn't just a nutrient, it's a biological signal telling your body to heal, to repair, and to slow down the clock of aging. And yet, because it doesn't fit neatly into the calorie in, calorie out model, it often gets overlooked. I want you to consider this every time you choose olive oil instead of seed oils or processed fats. You're not just making a small dietary decision, you're actively changing the trajectory of your health. You're reducing the load of toxins and oxidative stress that push you toward disease, and you're adding in protective compounds that pull you toward longevity. This is why small, daily habits matter more than occasional big efforts. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Just adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of high-quality olive oil daily can set in motion a chain reaction of healing inside your body. And here's the hook. This is not about what you see on the outside. It's not about losing a pound or 2 in a week or about superficial changes. This is about what's happening silently beneath the surface, where real health and longevity are built. You won't necessarily feel your arteries becoming more elastic or your mitochondria firing up with renewed energy. But over time, you'll notice you get sick less often, your mind feels clearer, your energy is steadier, and your risk for chronic diseases starts to drop. That's the invisible power of olive oil. So the next time you see a dark glass bottle of extra virgin olive oil sitting in your kitchen, don't just see it as a cooking ingredient. See it as nature's gift, a medicine disguised as food, a silent warrior that protects you from the inside out. And remember, it's not just healthy fat. That phrase doesn't do it justice. The olive oil is one of the most powerful natural tools we have to slow down aging, fight disease, and support a longer, healthier life. The question is, are you using it? When you think about longevity, what organ comes to mind first? Most people would say the heart. And that makes sense because your heart never takes a break. It beats over 100 zalozen times per day, pushing blood through nearly 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Imagine that your circulatory system is long enough to wrap around the earth more than twice. This vast network of arteries, veins, and capillaries is what keeps every single cell in your body alive. Yet the health of this system is often silently declining for years before you ever notice a problem. High blood pressure, stiff arteries, plaque buildup. These are the warning signs that the system is breaking down. But what if there was something simple, something as natural as food, that could actually protect this system and keep it young? That's where olive oil comes in, and science still hasn't fully revealed how powerful it is when it comes to heart and artery health. Let's start with something most people don't think about: the endothelium. This is the thin, delicate lining on the inside of your arteries. You can think of it as a Teflon coating that keeps blood flowing smoothly. But over time, with stress, poor diet, smoking, sugar spikes, or toxins, that protective lining gets damaged. When the endothelium becomes rough or inflamed, cholesterol particles start sticking to it and your immune system rushes in to patch the damage. That patch becomes plaque, and plaque leads to clogged arteries. Now here's the hook. Olive oil directly nourishes and protects the endothelium. The polyphenols and monounsaturated fats in olive oil reduce inflammation in those fragile cells, making them stronger and more elastic. This means less cracking, less repair work, and less plaque buildup. You can literally keep your arteries more youthful just by making olive oil a daily habit. Think about the contrast here. The average person is consuming massive amounts of refined seed oils, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, thinking they're harmless. But these oils are unstable. They oxidize quickly, especially when heated, and that oxidation translates into oxidative stress inside your arteries. Imagine pouring acid down a copper pipe. Over time it corrodes, weakens, and eventually breaks. That's what oxidized oils do to your blood vessels. Olive oil, on the other hand, is stable. Its antioxidants prevent oxidation, creating the opposite effect: protection instead of destruction. It's like coating those copper pipes with a layer of anti-rust that keeps them strong year after year. But olive oil doesn't just stop damage, it improves function. Research has shown that people who consume extra virgin olive oil daily experience better blood vessel dilation. What does that mean? It means when your body needs to send more blood to your muscles, your brain, or your skin, your arteries respond quickly. They expand to allow more flow. This flexibility is the difference between healthy circulation and stiff, aging arteries. Stiff arteries are like old rubber bands. They crack under pressure. Flexible arteries are like new rubber bands. They stretch and snap back easily. Olive oil keeps your arteries flexible, which directly lowers your risk of hypertension and cardiovascular events. Now let's talk about blood pressure. High blood pressure is one of the most common health issues worldwide, and yet it's not really a disease, it's a symptom of stiff, inflamed arteries. When your arteries lose their ability to relax and expand, the heart has to pump harder, and your blood pressure rises. Olive oil, by reducing inflammation and increasing nitric oxide production in the endothelium, helps arteries relax naturally. This lowers the strain on your heart without medication, without side effects, just by restoring the body's own ability to regulate pressure. Imagine how powerful that is, a food that helps your body remember how to keep blood pressure in check. Here's a fascinating detail. Studies comparing Mediterranean diets rich in olive oil with standard Western diets show striking differences in cardiovascular health. People eating olive oil regularly have lower rates of stroke, heart attack, and even sudden cardiac death. And it's not because they're eating fewer calories, it's because their arteries are simply better protected. 1 tablespoon of olive oil contains compounds that lower LDL oxidation, boost HDL function, and reduce clot formation. These aren't small effects. They're game-changing shifts in how your cardiovascular system functions. But I want you to think beyond just numbers and statistics. Picture your arteries as highways delivering oxygen and nutrients to every corner of your body. If those highways are full of potholes, cracks, and blockages, traffic slows, accidents happen, and eventually the system shuts down. Olive oil is like the maintenance crew constantly repairing, repaving, and keeping those roads open. The smoother the highways, the better your organs function. The sharper your brain stays, and the more energy you have throughout the day. This isn't just about avoiding disease, it's about optimizing the flow of life itself. Now here's where it gets even more engaging. Olive oil doesn't just protect arteries, it changes the behavior of your blood itself. It reduces platelet aggregation, which means your blood is less likely to form dangerous clots that can trigger a stroke or heart attack. At the same time, it keeps your red blood cells more flexible, so they can travel into the tiniest capillaries and deliver oxygen efficiently. You may not feel these changes in the moment, but over time they translate into a healthier heart, clearer skin, sharper thinking, and more stamina. All because the blood highways in your body are open and flowing the way they were designed to. And here's a hook most people miss. Cholesterol itself is not the villain. It's only dangerous when it becomes oxidized and sticky. Olive oil doesn't just lower LDL cholesterol, it prevents it from oxidizing in the first place. That means your body can use cholesterol for what it's meant to do, building hormones, repairing tissues, without turning it into plaque. That's a crucial distinction. Most people are trying to fight cholesterol with drugs when the real issue is oxidation, and olive oil addresses that root cause naturally. So ask yourself, what's on your plate right now? Are you adding life to your arteries, or are you silently damaging them with the wrong oils? Every time you replace processed, refined fats with extra virgin olive oil, you're taking a step toward protecting your heart and extending your life. This isn't about restriction or complicated diets. It's about upgrading one simple ingredient, a dark green, peppery olive oil doesn't just make your food taste better, it literally makes your arteries younger. And when your arteries are younger, your heart doesn't have to work as hard, and your blood pressure stays balanced, and your risk of catastrophic events drops dramatically. When people ask me, what's the simplest daily habit I can adopt for my heart? My answer is clear: add extra virgin olive oil. It's not hype. It's not a trend. It's a practice backed by centuries of tradition and modern science. If you want to protect the very highways that sustain your life, if you want your heart to keep beating strong and steady year after year, this is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. When most people think of blood sugar problems, they imagine only diabetics or people who eat too much sugar. But the truth is, almost everyone today experiences some degree of blood sugar fluctuation, even if they've never been diagnosed with diabetes. That afternoon crash, that sudden craving for sweets, the irritability when you haven't eaten for a few hours. These are all signs that your blood sugar is on a roller coaster. And the danger of that roller coaster isn't just in the short-term symptoms. Over time, unstable blood sugar and insulin resistance silently erode your health, leading to weight gain, fatigue, accelerated aging, and an increased risk of nearly every chronic disease. Here's the hook: oil can actually help stabilize blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity, and most people have no idea how powerful this effect really is. To understand why, let's step inside the body for a moment. Every time you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin, which acts like a key, unlocking your cells so sugar can move out of your blood and into your muscles or liver for storage. But if you're constantly spiking blood sugar with processed foods, sugary drinks, or even refined breads and pastas, insulin has to work overtime. Eventually, your cells stop responding properly. That's insulin resistance. The doorway is blocked, sugar stays in your blood, and your pancreas pumps out even more insulin. Now you've got high sugar, high insulin, and a metabolic system that's breaking down. This is the road to prediabetes, diabetes, and a host of other problems. But here's where olive oil changes the game. The healthy fats in extra virgin olive oil slow the absorption of glucose from the digestive tract. Imagine pouring water through a sieve. It flows straight through. You now imagine pouring honey. It moves slowly, evenly, without sudden surges. That's what happens when you eat carbs with olive oil. Instead of sharp, damaging spikes in blood sugar, you get a gentle rise which your body can easily handle. And the antioxidants in olive oil go one step further. They reduce oxidative stress on the pancreas, helping insulin-producing cells function better. In other words, olive oil not only slows sugar entry into the blood, but it also helps your insulin work more effectively once it's there. Think about the last time you had a high-carb meal. Maybe it was pizza, pasta, or a dessert. You felt good while eating it, but what happened 2 hours later? You probably felt sluggish, maybe even drowsy, and then you craved more carbs. That's the cycle of glucose spikes and crashes. Now imagine having a meal rich in vegetables, protein, and a drizzle of olive oil. Instead of a sharp rise and crash, your blood sugar curve is smooth, steady, and stable. You finish the meal satisfied, and hours later you still feel balanced and energized. That's not a coincidence. That's the direct effect of olive oil on blood sugar metabolism. And here's the hook that most people missed: insulin isn't just about sugar. It's the master fat storage hormone. Every time your insulin spikes, your body switches into storage mode, locking away fat and preventing fat burning. This is why people who snack constantly or eat carb-heavy meals struggle to lose weight, even if they're cutting calories. Olive oil helps blunt those insulin spikes, keeping your body in a more balanced state where fat burning is possible. That's why populations that consume olive oil regularly tend to have lower rates of obesity, even though they're not necessarily eating less food. It's the hormonal response that's different, and olive oil is a big part of that equation. There's also a deeper level here, and it has to do with inflammation. Insulin resistance is driven not just by sugar, but by chronic inflammation in the cells. When cells are inflamed, the insulin receptor doesn't work properly. Olive oil, with its powerful anti-inflammatory compounds like oleocanthar and hydroxytyrosol, reduces that inflammation at the cellular level. This means insulin receptors can respond better, and glucose can move more efficiently into the cells. It's like oiling a rusty lock. The key finally fits again. And that small shift, cells becoming more insulin sensitive, ripples through the entire body, improving energy, metabolism, and long-term health. Here's something fascinating. Studies show that when people consume olive oil with meals, their post-meal blood sugar and insulin levels are significantly lower compared to meals with other types of fats. That means your body has less work to do, your pancreas is under less stress, and your blood vessels are exposed to less sugar damage. Think about what that means over decades. Less sugar damage to the eyes, less damage to the kidneys, less damage to the nerves, and less buildup in the arteries. All from a food you can drizzle on your salad tonight. But let me give you a mental image to really drive this home. Picture your blood sugar like a river. In most people, that river rises and crashes violently throughout the day, eroding the banks, flooding the land, and leaving destruction in its wake. Olive oil is like a dam that regulates the flow, keeping the river steady, calm, and controlled. That calm river nourishes everything around it without destruction. The longer you maintain that smooth flow, the healthier your tissues remain. That's the hidden gift of olive oil when it comes to blood sugar control. And there's another layer to this story that makes it even more compelling. High blood sugar and insulin resistance don't just affect your waistline or your energy. They directly impact your brain. Your brain is incredibly sensitive to glucose fluctuations. Spikes and crashes lead to brain fog, poor concentration, and over time, cognitive decline. Some researchers even call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because of the role insulin resistance plays in brain aging. Olive oil, by keeping blood sugar stable and protecting insulin function, it also protects your brain from this decline. That's why people on olive oil-rich diets often report sharper memory, clearer thinking, and better mood stability. So here's the hook. Every spoonful of olive oil you add to your diet isn't just helping your heart or your digestion. It's silently training your metabolism to work the way it was designed to. It's calming the chaos of sugar surges, giving your pancreas a break, and making your cells more receptive to insulin. It's switching your body away from fat storage and back toward fat burning. And perhaps most importantly, it's protecting your brain from the hidden damage of unstable blood sugar. This isn't about eating less or counting calories. It's about choosing the right fuel. What you put on your plate can either push you deeper into insulin resistance or it can pull you back toward balance. Olive oil is one of those rare foods that consistently pulls you back. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but it's powerful. Every drizzle, every tablespoon is a small act of metabolic repair. And when you repeat that act day after day, the effects compound in ways you may not even notice right away. But 10 years from now, when you still have sharp energy, stable mood, and a healthy metabolism, you'll know the quiet role all olive oil played in getting you there. Most people don't realize that good health starts in the gut. You can eat the best foods in the world, but if your body can't digest and absorb them properly, those nutrients never make it to your cells. Digestion isn't just about breaking food down, it's about converting it into energy, hormones, and the building blocks of life itself. And here's the part most people overlook. Your ability to digest fats is one of the keys to long-term health. If you struggle with bloating, constipation, gas, nutrient deficiencies, or sluggish energy, chances are your fat digestion is not working the way it should. This is where olive oil becomes a surprising but powerful ally, because it does more than provide healthy fat. It actually stimulates bile flow from your liver and gallbladder, unlocking the entire digestive process in a way few other foods can. Let's start with bile, because it's one of the most underappreciated substances in the human body. Bile is made in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Every time you eat fat, your gallbladder releases bile into the small intestine to emulsify that fat, breaking it down into tiny droplets so enzymes can do their job. Without enough bile, fat just sits in the gut, undigested, leaving you with discomfort, bloating, and malabsorption of critical nutrients. Vitamins A, D, E, and K, the fat-soluble vitamins that control your hormones, your immune system, your bones, and your vision depend on bile for absorption. Omega-3s, which reduce inflammation, also require bile. If bile isn't flowing, your body is starving for these nutrients even if you're eating them. Here's the hook. Olive oil has a natural choleretic effect, which means it stimulates the liver and gallbladder to release more bile, improving digestion and nutrient absorption almost immediately. Think of bile like soap and olive oil as the water that gets the soap moving. If you've ever tried to wash a greasy pan without soap, you know how impossible it is. The grease just smears around, but add soap and suddenly the grease lifts away. That's what bile does to fat, and olive oil is the gentle nudge that keeps that soap flowing. People who add olive oil to their meals often report less bloating, smoother digestion, and more satisfaction after eating. Why? Because the fats are actually being broken down and absorbed instead of sitting heavy in the stomach. Now here's something fascinating. Many people who have sluggish bile flow don't even realize it. Symptoms can be subtle: indigestion, burping after meals, nausea when eating fatty foods, or even dry skin and brittle hair. These are warning signs that the body isn't digesting fats properly. Over time, poor bile flow can lead to gallstone formation because bile that sits stagnant becomes thick and crystallizes. Olive oil, by gently stimulating bile release, helps keep that flow moving, lowering the risk of gallstones. In fact, in traditional medicine, olive oil has been used for centuries as a natural aid for gallbladder and liver health. But let's take this one step deeper. Your liver is the command center for detoxification. Every toxin you encounter, from pesticides and plastics to medications and metabolic waste, must be processed by the liver. And guess what? Those toxins exit the body primarily through bile. If bile flow is sluggish, toxins get recycled back into the bloodstream, putting more stress on the liver and making you feel tired, sluggish, or even foggy, headed. Olive oil helps by promoting bile flow, which in turn helps escort toxins out of the body more efficiently. This isn't just about digestion, it's about cleansing your system at a cellular level. Here's the hook. Most people think detox means a juice cleanse or fasting for a few days, but the real detox happens when your bile is moving. Olive oil, as simple as it seems, is one of the most powerful detox tools you can use daily without any extreme diets or gimmicks. A tablespoon of high-quality olive oil can help ensure your body's natural cleansing system is working the way it should. Another layer of this story is satiety. When your bile is flowing and your fats are digested properly, your body feels nourished, satisfied, and balanced. That's why meals with olive oil tend to keep you full longer. When fats are emulsified and absorbed correctly, your body gets the signals that nutrients are available, so your appetite naturally calms down. Without proper fat digestion, you may eat plenty of calories but still feel hungry because your cells aren't getting the vitamins and fatty acids they need. This is why olive oil can indirectly help with weight control, not by cutting calories, but by improving nutrient absorption and satisfaction from meals. Now let's talk about the microbiome, the community of bacteria in your gut. These microbes play a critical role in digestion, immunity, and even mood regulation. But they need the right environment to thrive. Bile has antimicrobial properties, meaning it helps control harmful bacteria and supports a balanced gut microbiome. When bile is sluggish, harmful bacteria can overgrow, leading to dysbiosis, leaky gut, and systemic inflammation. Olive oil, by supporting bile flow, helps maintain a healthier balance of gut bacteria. And on top of that, the polyphenols in olive oil act as prebiotics, feeding beneficial bacteria and creating a more diverse, resilient microbiome. Imagine a gut environment that's clean, balanced, and full of friendly bacteria. That's what olive oil can help you achieve over time. I want you to picture this for a moment. Imagine your digestive system as a river. When bile is flowing well, that river is strong, clean, and able to carry nutrients where they need to go while washing waste away. But when bile is sluggish, the river slows, debris builds up, and everything downstream suffers. Energy drops, toxins accumulate, and health declines. Olive oil is like fresh rainwater feeding that river, keeping it moving and alive. You may not feel the difference in one meal, but over weeks and months, your digestion becomes smoother, your energy more consistent, and your skin and hair healthier because your body is finally absorbing what it needs. Here's a fascinating detail most people don't know. Olive oil stimulates bile flow not in a harsh, forceful way like some herbal remedies, but in a gentle, consistent way. It doesn't overwhelm the gallbladder, it encourages it. This makes it safe and effective even for people who are sensitive. And because it also reduces inflammation in the liver and gallbladder, it helps those organs function better long term. Imagine giving your liver and gallbladder a small daily workout that keeps them strong, flexible, and efficient. That's exactly what happens when you consume olive oil regularly. Now here's the hook that should really grab your attention. Your ability to digest fat often declines with age. Many older adults unknowingly live with sluggish bile flow, which contributes to nutrient deficiencies, low energy, and even cognitive decline. That means olive oil becomes even more important as you age, not just as a source of healthy fat, but as a stimulator of the digestive process itself. It's not just food, it's a tool to keep your body's machinery running smoothly when nature would otherwise slow it down. So when you drizzle olive oil on your salad or cook with it at low heat, You're not just adding flavor. You're sending a signal to your liver and gallbladder to release bile, clean out toxins, digest fats, and deliver fat-soluble nutrients to your cells. It's a simple, daily action that carries profound effects. Every drop of that golden oil is like a spark that keeps the digestive engine alive. And when digestion works, everything else in the body, from your energy to your hormones to your brain, works better too. Have you ever stopped to wonder why the brain, this incredibly complex control center of your body, is so vulnerable to damage as we age? Think about it. You can replace a joint, you can repair your skin, but when it comes to your brain, protecting it is non-negotiable. What if something as simple as the type of oil you consume daily could profoundly influence the long-term health of your memory, your focus, and even your ability to think clearly well into old age? This is where olive oil stands out, not just as a healthy fat, but as a powerful protector of your brain and memory. The real story goes far beyond the standard advice of 8 healthy fats. It's about how the unique compounds inside extra virgin olive oil act like a shield for your neurons, creating a line of defense that science is only beginning to fully appreciate. Your brain is composed of nearly 60% fat, which makes it highly dependent on the quality of fats you consume. Poor quality fats, like hydrogenated oils or refined vegetable oils, contribute to inflammation, oxidative stress, and damage to cell membranes. Over time, this leads to memory problems, foggy thinking, and even accelerates neurodegenerative conditions. Now imagine swapping out those harmful oils with something that not only avoids damage, but actively repairs, protects, and enhances brain function. That's exactly what happens when olive oil becomes a consistent part of your daily nutrition. The polyphenols in olive oil, particularly hydroxytyrosol and oleuropein, are not just antioxidants, they're neuroprotective agents. They cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning they can directly interact with and protect brain cells from free radical damage, something very few nutrients can actually do. One of the hooks that really draws attention is this in studies of populations consuming a Mediterranean diet, where olive oil is the primary fat killer. Rates of dementia, Alzheimer's, and age-related cognitive decline are dramatically lower. Is that a coincidence, or is it because of the liquid gold they consume daily? The research points to the latter. Olive oil doesn't just feed your brain with healthy monounsaturated fats. It also turns down the chronic, low-grade inflammation that silently erodes your brain function over time. Inflammation in the brain, often triggered by sugar spikes and unhealthy fats, leads to the production of harmful proteins like beta amyloid plaques. These plaques are heavily linked to Alzheimer's disease. The polyphenols in olive oil actively reduce these harmful protein buildups, giving your brain a chance to stay clear, sharp, and fully functional. Have you ever had moments where you walked into a room and forgot why you were there, or you struggled to recall a name that was on the tip of your tongue? While occasional forgetfulness is normal, when this becomes frequent, it's often a warning sign that your brain is under stress. Olive oil helps here too. By improving mitochondrial function inside your neurons, it gives your brain cells more energy to fire properly. Think of it like upgrading an old, sputtering engine into one that runs smoothly and efficiently. When your neurons have more energy, your ability to recall information, process details, and stay mentally sharp improves significantly. But here's the kicker: the benefits aren't just long-term. They can be felt surprisingly quickly. Many people report improved mental clarity and focus within weeks of consistently using olive oil. That's because the monounsaturated fats in olive oil improve circulation, allowing more oxygen and nutrients to reach the brain. The better your circulation, the better your brain performs. It's almost like turning up the dimmer switch in a room. You suddenly feel more awake, more alert, more focused, all because your brain cells are literally being nourished more effectively. What most people don't realize is that the brain is extremely vulnerable to oxidative stress. Every single second, your brain is burning energy at a rapid pace, producing free radicals as a byproduct. If those free radicals aren't neutralized, they damage your neurons, leading to memory loss and cognitive decline. This is where the antioxidants in olive oil step in. They neutralize those free radicals before they can cause harm, essentially cleaning up the environment inside your brain. It's like having a dedicated cleaning crew working around the clock to ensure your neurons stay healthy and functional. Without this protection, the damage accumulates silently for years before showing up as serious cognitive decline. Another fascinating angle is how olive oil affects your mood and emotional well-being. Did you know that people who consume higher amounts of olive oil are less likely to suffer from depression? That's because olive oil impacts neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, the very chemicals that influence mood and motivation. Chronic inflammation and poor fats, on the other hand, disrupt these neurotransmitters, leaving people more vulnerable to anxiety, stress, and depression. Olive oil not only protects your memory, but also creates a more stable, balanced emotional state, something that's crucial for longevity and overall well-being. And here's a real hook for you. Researchers have discovered that olive oil can help the brain clean itself. Yes, your brain has a built-in self-cleaning system called autophagy, where it removes damaged proteins and cellular debris. Olive oil has been shown to activate this process, especially in regions of the brain tied to memory. That means olive oil doesn't just slow down damage, it helps reverse some of it by encouraging your brain to detoxify itself. Imagine being able to not just stop decline, but to actually rejuvenate brain cells. That's the kind of potential we're talking about here. Think of the implications of this. We live in a time when rates of Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases are skyrocketing. Billions of dollars are being spent on drugs, yet the results are often disappointing. Meanwhile, something as simple, accessible, and natural as olive oil may hold more protective power than we realize. The key isn't just adding it occasionally to a salad. It's about making it a daily ritual. A consistent supply of these brain-boosting compounds that fortify your neurons against the inevitable challenges of aging. So, when you think of olive oil, don't just think of it as a healthy fat. Think of it as brain insurance. Every spoonful is like depositing protection into your brain's long-term health account. Every drizzle is another layer of armor around your memory, your clarity, and your ability to stay sharp as the years go by. Ask yourself this: would you rather wait for brain decline to show up and then scramble for solutions, or would you rather build resilience now with a habit as simple as consuming high-quality extra virgin olive oil? The choice is clear and the science is compelling. Most people hear about the benefits of olive oil and rush to add it to their shopping list. But here's the shocking truth: not all olive oils are created equal. In fact, studies show that a large percentage of what's labeled as extra virgin olive oil on the shelves is actually adulterated, diluted, or even rancid before it ever reaches your kitchen. That means millions of people are pouring what they think is liquid gold over their salads, but in reality, they're consuming an inferior oil that does nothing for their health and, in some cases, can even harm them. Imagine carefully making a choice to protect your heart, your brain, and your longevity, only to find out that the bottle you bought doesn't have the compounds that make olive oil so unique in the first place. This is why quality matters, and it matters more than most people realize. Let's start with the fundamentals. The compounds that give olive oil its superpowers, polyphenols, antioxidants, and monounsaturated fats, are highly sensitive. They can be destroyed by heat, light, oxygen, and even the wrong processing methods. True extra virgin olive oil is cold pressed, extracted without heat or chemical solvents, and stored in a way that preserves its natural compounds. But here's the catch: olive oil is one of the most frequently adulterated foods in the world. Unscrupulous producers often cut it with cheaper oils like soybean or sunflower oil, which are inflammatory and damaging to the body. So you might see a bottle that looks fancy and says extra virgin, but if it's been diluted, you're not getting the brain, heart, and longevity benefits at all. You're just consuming more of the very oils that fuel inflammation and disease. Here's the hook: you could drink olive oil every single day for 7 days, or even 7 months. But if it's not real high-quality oil, you'll never experience the incredible transformation science talks about. That's like taking a sugar pill and expecting the effects of real medicine. Quality is the dividing line between health benefits and disappointment. Now, let's take a deeper look at why quality is so critical. High-quality extra virgin olive oil is loaded with hydroxytyrosol and oleocanthal, two powerful compounds that reduce inflammation in a way similar to ibuprofen without the side effects. But here's the secret: most people don't know the presence of these compounds can be tasted. When you swallow genuine olive oil, you should feel a peppery bite or even a slight burning sensation in the back of your throat. That's oleocanthal. It's a natural indicator that the oil is fresh, potent, and packed with protective compounds. If your olive oil tastes flat, bland, or greasy, chances are it's been stripped of these properties or mixed with inferior oils. Have you noticed how some olive oils are sold in clear plastic bottles, often lined up under bright supermarket lights? That's a red flag. Light and plastic degrade olive oil rapidly, stripping it of antioxidants and turning it rancid. True extra virgin olive oil should come in a dark glass bottle or a metal tin, protecting it from light and oxygen. That's not just packaging, that's preservation of the very compounds that keep your heart, arteries, and brain functioning at their best. So, the next time you're tempted to grab the cheapest bottle on the shelf, ask yourself, is saving a few dollars worth sacrificing the very reason you're buying olive oil in the first place? Here's another startling fact: real extra virgin olive oil has a shelf life. It doesn't last forever. If the bottle you're buying doesn't include a harvest date or a best buy date that's within 18 to 24 months, you may already be consuming degraded oil. Freshness is everything. Think of it this way: would you expect old, wilted spinach to provide the same nutrients as freshly picked leaves? Of course not. The same principle applies to olive oil. Only fresh, carefully stored oil carries the full spectrum of health benefits. But quality isn't just about avoiding fake oils. It's about unlocking the real potential that only true extra virgin olive oil can provide. For example, high-quality olive oil can lower blood pressure, reduce arterial stiffness, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect neurons from degeneration. Inferior oils not only lack these benefits, but can actually push your health in the wrong direction, fueling oxidative stress and inflammation. Isn't it ironic that two bottles labeled olive oil can sit side by side in a store, yet one is a health-boosting elixir and the other is practically junk food in disguise? Here's the practical takeaway. If you want the full power of olive oil, you need to become a detective. Look for cold-pressed, organic, extra virgin olive oil in dark glass bottles. Check for a harvest date, taste for that peppery bite, and avoid anything suspiciously cheap because high-quality olive oil is labor-intensive to produce. And true health never comes at bargain bin prices. The investment is worth it because what you're really buying is longevity, vitality, and protection for your most precious organs. Another hook that might surprise you: some research suggests that consuming fake or low-quality olive oil may actually be worse than not consuming olive oil at all. Why? Because many adulterated oils are blended with inflammatory seed oils, and those drive insulin resistance, weight gain, and systemic inflammation, the very problems you thought olive oil was helping you avoid. Imagine believing you're protecting your heart while unknowingly clogging your arteries. That's how big of a difference quality makes. When you use true, high-quality olive oil, the benefits are tangible. Your digestion improves, your energy stabilizes, your brain feels clearer. And over time, your risk of chronic disease decreases. But when you cut corners on quality, you rob yourself of all those benefits. You're not just missing out, you're being misled. This is why people who try olive oil and say, "I didn't notice a difference," are often the ones who never actually had the real thing. Think about it this way. Would you expect a knockoff watch to keep time as accurately as a Swiss masterpiece? Would you expect a fake diamond to shine like the real gem? Of course not. The same is true for olive oil. The real thing is rare, valuable, and powerful. The fake versions are cheap imitations that leave you disappointed and, in the case of your health, potentially harmed. So the next time you pour olive oil over your salad, drizzle it on your vegetables, or even take it by the spoonful, stop for a moment and ask yourself, am I nourishing my body with the real elixir of health? Or am I being fooled by a counterfeit? Because in the end, the quality is not just a detail. It's the very essence of whether olive oil becomes your secret weapon for longevity or just another empty promise in a bottle.